All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for the second session of the EYB Promotional Consultants Marketing Lab. What we're going to be talking about today is ways that your business can creatively get your name and your business in front of your customers and your prospects. This is session 2, and today is April 23rd, 2020. My name is Scott Brodoff, and I am the owner of Expand Your Brand Promotional Consultants. We would love to have your feedback and your questions at the end of today's session. And we would like to address them at the end. So please, in the chat, as questions come up, they come in your head, you start thinking about it, you're like, how can I do this? Please let us know what they are, and we'll be able to answer them at the end. Our goal today is to be right around an hour. So excluding the last 10 minutes or so, we'll probably be right around 60 minutes. So what I'd like to do first is introduce our 2 guests. Our first guest is Kelly. Kelly she's a marketing strategist for the last 19 years and currently works in the Beasley Media Group in the Philadelphia area. They're a multimedia platform company encompassing social media, radio, banner ads. They do events. They do all different types of things. And Kelly has worked in a variety of types of businesses as well before coming to Beasley Media. Savon is a cinematographer, and she produces digital content. She's also a graphic designer and has a number of different experiences when it comes to branding different types of businesses. So I'd like to welcome both of you guys to the Marketing Lab, and it's going to be hopefully a great session today. And we're going to continue to do this as our plan, just with different topics over the next couple of weeks and months as we continue to deal with this crisis that we're in. The goal for today's session is to discuss creative ways and out-of-the-box, inexpensive, and sometimes free ways to grow your business during the current crisis, 30, 60 days, and even beyond.
Oops.
Thank you. So if we could go back to one slide before.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. So there are hundreds of different industries that are out there in the US right now. And the 3 of us kind of got together and realized that there are kind of 3 different stages that businesses are in right now. Whether you're a local mom and pop business, or you're a small law firm, medium-sized, accounting firm, you're a club, you're a bar, you own a salon, it doesn't really matter, right? They're all in 3 different categories. The first category is you're currently open for business, right? You might have some restrictions, like a restaurant, right, where you can only do takeout and delivery. And then there are those that are in limbo, right? That can still make money, but they don't necessarily know how to put themselves out there compared to ways that they might have been doing traditionally from 3 months ago to 10 years ago and beyond, right? So our goal today, and then the last one are the businesses that are going to be open in the future, which are going to be clubs, bars, activity places for children and adults, like the Little Gym as an example, or an axe throwing business for adults. All those places are places that will be open again, but they aren't right now. The big thing is everybody is kind of looking for ways to get their name out there, right? To make sure that you are still relevant with all of your current clients and your future clients, to make them aware that, hey, we might not be open today, but this is what we are looking forward to when we do open again. So if we can go to the next slide. So we've all probably seen similar images to these 3 pictures right here, right? Maybe not the one with Ben Franklin and the mask, but if you think about the one right there on the left-hand side, is this your new office? Are you working from your house? Are you working from a closet? Are you working from your basement, your attic, somewhere? And you have everything set up, and now you're trying to figure out, what is the new normal going to be for me in my business? If you look on the other side, with the woman with the ears, with the bunny ears, and the woman holding the bottle of water. This might have been how you conducted your Easter dinner or your Passover Seder, right? Or maybe you're doing a happy hour. This is the new normal for today, and it could be the new normal going forward. Now, the question is, how are you going to be able to still grow and sustain your business in this new normal, right? And that's what we're going to kind of talk about. Every state is going to have different guidelines to open. So EYB is headquartered in Pennsylvania. That's where Kelly works. Savannah lives across the bridge in New Jersey. So I was hoping that Kelly can share just a few of the things that we've kind of learned over the last 24 hours of different stages that the governor of Pennsylvania has put out there as kind of like stepping stones. Now, again, these are going to be different in every state, but just to kind of give you an overview of like where you can be thinking about marketing wise going forward. So Kelly, can you tell us a little bit about what the governor of Pennsylvania put out?
Sure. So last night, Governor Wolf for Pennsylvania put out his 3-phase plan for the reopening of the state of Pennsylvania. If anybody's been following the news, a lot of the states are working in groups together. We know Governor Wolf is working with Cuomo and kind of the upper of the states. We know a lot of the Midwestern states are working together. The Southern states are working together. So they're all regionally putting plans together to reopen their sections of the country. And they're going to be based on where you live and how badly your area was affected by COVID-19. For Pennsylvania, we know that the phases will fall in a red, yellow, and green phase currently. And as we have been since March 13th, we are in the red phase. I live in Montgomery County, which is right outside of Philadelphia. So we were in one of the hardest hit areas, only second to Philadelphia proper. So I have a feeling we'll be in the red zone for a little bit longer. Red zone is obviously schools are closed, restricted gatherings are prohibited, restaurants are carry out and delivery only, no travel unless it's life-sustaining purposes, and childcare is closed. The next phase we will be moving to once the area has shown an average of 50 new positive cases per 100,000 residents for 14 days will be the yellow phase. That'll be the next one that most people will move to. Now, if you're in the middle of the state or in states in the middle of the country that weren't as affected, you're probably moving into the yellow phase quicker than some of the other states. Yellow phase, telework will still be encouraged when feasible. Businesses with in-person operations must follow safety orders, but will be able to open with certain parameters. Childcare will be opening with certain parameters. Schools will still remain closed for in-person instruction. So most of us already know that schools are closed for the rest of the school season, so that's not going to change. Stay-at-home restrictions will be lifted, but large gatherings will still be prohibited. In-person retail will be allowed, but they're still going to encourage curbside and delivery as a preferred method. Health clubs, gyms, entertainment facilities such as casinos and theaters will remain closed. Restaurants will continue to work on a carry-out and delivery only basis. So I think that was probably the most shocking thing for everybody, is that they'll still remain on that status quo. The green phase is obviously what we're all looking forward to, and that's kind of back to the way that life used to be. It's all businesses can go back to operating with CDC and PA Department of Health guidelines, and aggressive mitigation orders will be lifted. And again, for the state of Pennsylvania, at least, we know you'll move to those phases, average of fewer of 50 new positive cases of the virus per 100,000 residents for a 14-day period.
So those kind of go in line. Thanks, Kelly. Those kind of go in line with the three different stages, the three different types of businesses that we were talking about, you know? So if you think about it, you've got the restaurants that are open right now as a necessity, but it's more than just restaurants. There are other businesses, and we're going to talk about a few of them that are still able to be open. They just have had to shift, how they do their business and what products they are pushing out there to people. And that's what we're going to kind of talk a little bit about it. And as we go through each phase, that's why we're going to continue to do these sessions, because as each phase comes on, we're going to be able to help give advice and help you guys kind of steer your marketing, your marketing and branding in the correct way to make sure you're touching people in the right, at the right time and get the right message out there. So now we're going to go to the next slide. Thank you. So what are we going to cover today in a little bit more detail? Strategies that you can use now to connect with potential customers in your community. How to build value for your business during this challenging time. And we know it's challenging for all of us. That's for sure. Elements of an engaging campaign, right? So if you think about it, the campaign that you might have been using for the last, 4, 5, 6 years, even the last 30 to 90 days, right? That is all going to be completely different for the most part. There might be some aspects of it that are the same, but we're going to talk about some elements of an engaging campaign and ideas that you can use now to continue to connect with potential customers, drive revenue, even if you're closed. So think about it. You might be freaking out and saying, oh my gosh, my business has been closed for the last 6 or 7 months or 6 or 7 weeks. Let me take that back. Your business might have been closed for the last 6 to 7 weeks, but maybe there are ways for you to still make money. And we're going to show you some ideas of what other businesses have done in order to do that. Next slide, please. Okay. So how well do you know your audience and how they consume media? The next 4 slides, I think and hope that you're going to find to be very, very compelling, right? I think we're missing one though, Savon. Where's the one for, oh no, that's right, Generation Z, sorry.
Yeah, we got it.
Sorry, that was my fault. I thought it said X. I guess I haven't learned my ABCs. So the first one we're looking at is Generation Z, right? So Generation Z, if you didn't know, and I wasn't aware of where the age breaks are, which I think is very useful, are anyone between the ages of 16 to 23, right? So 16 to 23-year-olds, how are they absorbing media right now in the increase of what they were doing before, let's just call it the middle of March, right? So the largest increase for them is at the very bottom, is online TV and streaming, right? So that would be YouTube, that would be Netflix, that would be
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, Hulu, all the subscription services, right? Anything that you can get that is streaming, right? So then if you go around, you'll see the increase. Now, why are we showing you these things, right? We're showing you these things because these are, people are killing time, right? While they are home and they can't go anywhere, right? But the big thing is that, let's say, for example, you were never targeting this demographic before, right? But you might have something in your business or as a way to now start generating revenue from this particular generation that you couldn't do before, right? So maybe you need to shift from going from, let's just say, books and leisure as an example, right? You were focusing more on that, but if you see that increase is only up 18% versus online TV and streaming is now at 38%. So how can you start to penetrate and put marketing out there for yourself in that particular media source, right? And that's what each of these are going to be. Look at video games, right? And it's not just video games that people buy, it could be online video games, right? Online videos. That is actually the largest increase of anything in that Generation Z age bracket, right? So that is going to be your TikTok videos, your YouTube videos, things that are going to be quick to absorb, right? And those are types of things that your business should be putting out there right now if you're trying to target this generation and age group of people? Kelly, Siobhan, any comment, any ads?
No, I mean, I totally agree. I think what you said kind of covers it all.
Cool. So now we'll go down to the next generation, which are millennials, right? So millennials are people between the age of 24 to 37. Everything has switched from the Generation Z to where they are right to this generation, right? The largest for them, for the millennial generation, are online videos again, right? So they're still in that same age range. They're still using that same type of media. Again, YouTube or Facebook Live, TikTok. I'm trying to think of the other online videos that people would be consuming. And it doesn't necessarily have to be music that goes along with it. You could be doing a video stream of your business. You could be doing a walkthrough. Let's say we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but let's say you're going to do a walkthrough and you're a landscaper of yards that you have done landscaping work from, right? So all of those things you're still going to be able to put out there, but people want to absorb it quicker. That's the great thing with those online videos. You can post it on your own social media, and then you can boost and get more exposure from that.
Scott,
yeah.
One extra point I think is important with the Gen Z and the millennials is that historically, and I work with a lot of different advertisers from all different businesses, and one of the biggest struggles is how to reach the younger generations, right? So more traditional methods, people have felt like might be kind of missing the mark a little bit to really target people before they're brand specific, right? So these are the people that are getting out of college or going to college and starting to make their own independent decisions and starting to become a little bit more brand specific, what type of car they're going to drive, what type of area they're going to live in. Decisions that will follow them and carry them through into adulthood, when obviously they're going to be spending more income, but you want to get them at that young age and brand with them before they're very specific to a certain industry or brand or product. And so I think it's important to know how to reach these two generations, because these seem to be the elusive generations that everybody has been wanting to capture. And that's why I like these slides. I think it gives a good idea on where you can target those if you do want to brand with the younger.
And just before I forget, you don't have to worry about screenshotting any of these. We'll send out, if you want a copy of this presentation, we'll send it out to you so you can use it for reference. And also at the end, all of our contact information is on there. So that way you can reach out to any of us with, questions or feedback. We're definitely here to help you. I also like this one because, as Kelly just mentioned, it's like, how do I target, like, let's say, for example, you are not in either one of these two generations and you don't have children in either one of these two generations. You're trying to figure out, how can I reach them? That's where these two slides are really going to be able to help you to kind of figure out how you can pivot right now. I think that's a big thing, is pivoting from your existing marketing campaigns to what you're going to be doing right now and what you're going to be doing 60 days from now. And then, as in Pennsylvania, as we move in from red to yellow to green, how is this going to continue to change, right? I think it's interesting because if you look at broadcast TV, right, that is still up 35% compared to what people were watching just 30 to 60 days ago. If you go to the next one over, the broadcast is 35%, right? So go back to right there. So at the millennials.
Sorry.
So that's right. So 35%. Let's say that you are you're a business that has never done TV advertising whatsoever, right? But you now see that 24 to 37-year-olds are watching more TV. So you can go out there and you can create a video commercial and put it out there to target that particular demographic for really inexpensive, right? Depending on the time that you put it out there. So there's just different things that you might not have thought of before to really reach these two different generations. Can we go to the next one, please? Now, Generation X, okay? we were talking about before the call today about, like, I'm in Generation X. Okay. So I've realized the one thing I've been doing is watching more TV. It just might be on. I might not be watching every single thing that's on, but I definitely, the regular TV is on more than it was, 30, 60, 90 days ago. Right. Only because I am watching more news. I am watching more, what's going on in the world. And that is 45% for Generation X, right? Generation X. And then you've got 38% for online TV and streaming. So a lot of the other things are definitely, are still up. But broadcast TV, I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm a business owner and I'm trying to target somebody that's in Generation X, right? So that might be people that are now homeowners, they have kids, they have, so that who does that target, right? So it could be which types of industries could that be, right? So I need things for my kids to do while I'm at home. I have projects that I want to still get done that are on my head, that's in my house, right? So those are the kinds of businesses that should be targeting and where you should be putting some of your marketing dollars. And then the last one, if we can go to that.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Baby boomers, 57 to 64. That is a huge jump, in the same thing that Generation X is, again, is broadcast TV, right? So again, think about the products and services that you have, right? So again, you might have always thought that TV, broadcast TV, was way too expensive, but depending on the show, the hours, like all those different types of factors that go into it, maybe that for right now is where you should be putting your marketing dollars. And so again, I think when you see this again, you'll be able to go a little bit deeper and explore it. So that's the last one. Those are the 4 generations that we put up there. Siobhan, Kelly, any others?
Yeah, I just think the interesting thing is that with the younger generation, the amount of media and the types of media is a lot more diverse than when you get into the 2 older demographics. So like you were saying before, it's just really important to know your audience, because with Gen Z and millennials especially, you have a lot more variety and avenues to go through to market to them, whereas it seems that Gen X and the boomer generation tend to lean more towards video right now, or TV, I mean, during this time. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
And I also think it's interesting to just think about the types of business that you work with, right? That you're selling to, whether you're retail or you're let's say you're a personal trainer, right? Do you specialize in working with, a certain demographic, or you just like working with a certain demographic? This way you'll be able to start targeting that a little bit more. Great. So now we're going to go from how people consume their media to e-commerce. All right. Year over year growth from March 22nd to April 4th. Right. So in North America, the number of online orders in web only retailers were up 52% year over year in the United States. And the United States and Canada for these 2 weeks. Okay, so let's say, for example, and I was thinking about this the other day, right? Let's say that you are not a traditional e-commerce type of business, right? Now, your larger competition could be, right? So let's say that you are a hardware store, right? Or you're a plumbing supply company. Well, maybe in the past, you've only been working with plumbers directly if you're a plumbing supply company, right? One of my customers is actually a plumbing supply company. But now what you could do is you could be creating and providing content for people to do their own, for them to be doing small jobs on their own. You could either be doing YouTube videos, and you could be setting an e-commerce, you could be setting up an e-commerce site that would be providing those individual pieces that people might be able to use, right? And we're going to talk about that as we keep going down. But I'm looking at it as, how can you grow your e-commerce when you might not have it before? You might not have ever thought that you could do that, but now you want to set that up, right? You want to be able to, and there's definitely a lot of options out there for you to set up your own e-commerce solution that people can either buy from your social media or they can buy directly from your website and ties it together. Any feedback on this, Kelly, Sivan?
Well, I think one of the most important things, and we're going to get into this in the next coming slides, is if you're not a traditional e-commerce type of business, there are ways that you can become one or have relevance for people to engage with your business in more non-traditional ways or kind of out of the box ideas. And we will be getting to those. I know in the comments section, Sivan had asked what type of businesses you are, and it seems like we have a lot of professional type of businesses. So we will share ideas on how, if you're not a traditional e-commerce where you're not selling an actual product or service that you can mail out to somebody, there are ways that you can turn this e-commerce mindset to apply it to your specific business and create that engagement and relevancy, and maybe even create a revenue driving sales aspect for your business where previously you might not have thought of. And so we will get into some of those ideas, but I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Before we go to the next slide, thanks, Kelly. I think before we go to the next slide, I think the most important part about this is that everybody needs to realize that people are still spending money, right? I think in the beginning, people might have been nervous, like, okay, am I going to, should I still be spending money on things, or should I just be holding on to it? God forbid something happens. You're seeing that people are spending money. They're just spending their money in a different way, right? And they're spending it at different places. One of the things that I heard from an old manager of mine years ago was that people were nervous about moving from one type of marketing to another and increasing that marketing budget. We don't necessarily suggest that you always increase that. It's maybe moving from one type of marketing to another. And I think that is I think that's a great example of what you should be thinking about. Like, for example, if you used to do, let's say, print, right? You used to do print and you'd put coupons in it. I'm just throwing it out there as an example. Well, now that might take 30, 60 days to even get that out into people's hands, where now you might be able to do that same type of thing, but you might be able to do it on your social media, right? And you might be able to boost your social media and spend a lot more to try to get it to people that are in your same area. So you're just shifting where the money is. But the good news is that people are buying, right? They're buying products and they're buying services. It's just a matter of where they're getting it from. Okay, so we'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Cool. So now that we know where the media consumption is and the fact that people are spending money, what are you going to do differently today? What are you going to do differently today compared to 3 months ago? And what are you going to do differently 3 months from now? Right? So looking at these 4 slides, they all kind of talk to different types of things, right? I know, for example, so if we go from left to right at the cross, you've got the 2 boys that they look like they're probably brothers. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was a sports league, right? Getting people excited about, yes, we are still going to have sports, maybe putting out their videos, early signups, that's a big thing, right? Pay in advance. So let's say that you run a sports league as an example, right? Your kids still want to play sports. If they pay in advance, maybe you can give them a slight discount. Or maybe you're the coach or you're the commissioner of that league. Maybe you could be doing and having your coaches do drills that those kids could be out there doing. And you could set up a subscription service that goes along with it. So we're going to get into more of this. I'm just kind of throwing the different things out there. So the next 2 slides the woman holding the cell phone out, basically taking a selfie, and then the woman on the bottom with the packages that are ready to be sent out, right? So that woman taking the selfie could be doing a video tour of her store, right? Walking through her store, showing different examples of what is in the store, as an example. The third woman on the bottom could be a retailer, right? Putting together different types of kits that her business is now able to ship and send to help re-engage with her customers. And we're going to talk about it. And she gets them all shipped to her house. She puts the kits together, verifies where it's all going, and ships it out to customers, right? And the third one, or the fourth one in the corner, are just different types of videos, right? And so Vaughn's going to talk a little bit about that as we keep going, about different ways that you want to shoot your videos, right? The lighting, the angles, the settings, how you can make those kinds of changes. So this is just, we want you to think about some of the things you might have to do on your own, but they're not difficult, right, to get started doing. And that's the big thing. Next slide.
Cool. So what we really want to move into here is thinking about the first thing, which is value. And what does it mean to provide value as a business? Because a lot of businesses right now, like Scott mentioned, if you're completely closed or if you're trying to shift into e-commerce, you're kind of in that limbo phase. And a lot of people are providing value now over offers. So what does that mean? Becoming an expert in your particular field on a specific topic. And there's a ton of different ways that you can do this. The most you're seeing right now are online videos, blog posts, webinars, ebooks, online classes. There are so many different ways that you can begin to provide value as an expert in a certain field. And I think that in terms of branding, like that's probably one of the most important things. That you have to provide value before you provide an offer and then before you get a sale. So for me, yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, that's okay. No, that was awesome. That was great. I think that this image, even though it's fuzzy, I tried to find something that would represent this. I think the whole point of this providing value is the same thing that Kelly and Siobhan and I and the last session with Keith is we are, we all have specialty industries that, that we do. We have special, we're all different types of businesses, right? But we are trying to provide, just like we want you guys to kind of think about, to provide something for people to say, yep, there's a lot of places that I can take my kids to go for gymnastics, right? There's a lot of personal trainers that are out there that I could go to. Why do I want to go to you, right? And if you're providing a service right now that is going to get people excited about you so they can find you, they're more likely at the end of all of this chaos to say, oh my gosh, I am so tired of doing this by myself, but I have loved watching your videos, or I have loved the feedback that you've given me. You're going to have a higher percentage of people that are going to come back to you and say, I want to sign up for your class, or I want you to help me with this, and pay full price of what you charge, right? So that's what this whole image is with the magnet, is you're trying to just kind of put yourself out there as much as you can. Even if you're a little bit nervous about it, you're selling yourself a little bit differently than what you were doing before.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that if you are, I'm going to use Erica as an example because I know what she sells, which is nail strips that you can use from home. So like if you're selling a product, think about what else do people want to know in this particular industry or on this particular topic that maybe I can provide to them beyond just the product or service that I'm selling.
And that's the big thing. And before we go on to the next slide,
where are we going?
That's right, backwards.
Sorry.
That's the big thing. I have another colleague of ours, right? And we're gonna talk about it a little bit more, but they are a specialty, like a party goods store, right? So they're a party goods store and nobody is having parties. I mean, heck, I had a birthday a couple of weeks ago and it was basically my family that lives in my house, right? So no one's buying stuff for parties and no one's buying stuff for graduation, but they are still open and they found a way to still sell products, right? She sells paper goods and guess what she sells? And has been selling a ridiculous amount of paper towels, sanitizer wipes, and toilet paper. Nobody went to her before for toilet paper, but now she can't keep it in stock now because she's selling so much of it because she put it out there on her social media and started telling everybody, hey, we still carry this and we'll bring it out to your car just like they would at Walmart or Target or the grocery store. Thinking about the things that you do that can provide value to customers right now, they will come back to you. So just something to keep in mind. Next slide, please. Okay, so in order to do this successfully, right, you need a plan, right? A marketing plan. And the marketing plan, again, you might already have in place. You might have thought about this for years and it's been the same thing. It's been successful. I don't want to change it. Now you might be forced to change it. And you should probably be forced to change it. Should you throw everything out? No, not at all. I think in our experience, you should do an analysis of what can still work and how you can pivot again. So Kelly, can you talk a little bit about the simplest type of marketing plan that someone, who might not be experienced in doing their own marketing at this point, what they can do if they had a plan in place already, in going from 30, 60, 90 days to, afterwards?
Absolutely. And I respect that we'll speak in some generalities, but I'm also going to kind of speak to those of you who, and thank you for that, shared what type of business you're in to make it a little bit more pertinent to what you do. But I'll start with generalities, and that there's usually three types of businesses. You're either at the infancy stage, so you're at the planning and grassroots and just starting stage. You're at the middle building stage where this kind of really threw you for a loop. So you're kind of teeter-tottering to, I was on an uphill climb. We were doing really well. We've been open for some time and we had some good momentum, and now I feel like I lost all that. Or you're a very established business that you've been in your market or your industry for a long time. You have a good base of business or customers, and you're just trying to interact with them in a different way. So speaking to the businesses at the top going down, I think that's the easiest way to do it. If you're an extremely established business, you've been in your industry for quite some time, you probably have the good groundwork already laid in on how you're communicating with the business. If you're in the service industry or if you're in a business that is currently operating with restrictions, you've kind of carved out a way to do that. I could be wrong. I don't see a lot of people that are on the call today that are in a similar situation, or you might have a second job where you work for a company that's a little bit more established. And those are the people that kind of can stick with their current strategies and kind of go full steam forward. It's more about creating a different message that is more pertinent to what you're doing now versus what you were doing a few months ago. It's the industries that are in the first and second tiers that are struggling the most to find their place in their communities. If you had been open for a while and you had good momentum going, and then all of a sudden COVID kind of happened and you feel like you kind of hit a wall and now you're losing momentum and you're afraid that you're going to lose it too much where you won't be able to sustain a business. Or if you had recently just started or you're starting something, whether it's a loss of a job or you were planning on doing this anyway and you're looking to gain momentum, there are still feasible strategies that you can do to make your mark and start building. It might be a little slower process and it might be a little different than your original plan, but there are things that you can do. In the next few slides, we're going to get into a little bit more, but obviously, as you saw with the generational gaps, social media is probably the easiest and most attainable thing that you can do to interact with your potential consumers and community. And I'm going to show you some real world, I'm going to talk about real world strategies that you can do to activate right away on your own that cost little to no money, and then very small investment that you can do on your own. The other thing is just to lay out a strategy on your own. Know who your customers are, know how they've been impacted, not just yourself, but how your customers have been impacted by COVID. And rework a strategy as if you were a customer, not you trying to sell to them, but if you were the customer looking for your product and service. So change the message on how you would want to be approached from a like business, and translate that into the new marketing plan for your business to react to the community. And I think the next couple slides, we're going to get a little deeper. So I'm going to pause there because I don't want to get ahead of the gun too much.
So thanks, Kelly. That's good. Yeah, everything after this is going to be about ideas. I know we've had a lot of build up, but we wanted to kind of make sure that everybody was on the same page, you know, because you might not be aware of some of these things. And like I said, again, I don't know what the marketing strategies that you've had in the past, but we wanted to kind of make you aware of, consumption and all these other juicy tidbits of information. So now we're going to talk about strategies. What strategies can you use to connect with potential customers in your community? So if we go to the next slide, Kelly's going to talk a little bit about people staying at home and social media and how that has kind of grown, exponentially over the last 6 to 7 weeks.
That's exactly right. So if you're like all of us, and you are been sheltered at home for quite some time, obviously your media consumption has gone up considerably, not just in social media, but in general. All types of media has increased, consumption has increased. So what are some of the ways that you can engage with this? Well, obviously social media is probably the easiest and most attainable for everybody. As you can see, Instagram and Facebook are kind of the leaders when it comes to social media, and they're probably the easiest platforms to navigate, especially if you're not accustomed to doing this on a regular basis. These are probably the two of the most user-friendly platforms to navigate on. First, we go through Instagram. Instagram is one of my favorites because it's very visual. It's very video-driven. It's very image-driven, and I think that really speaks to a lot of people right now. I am a mom, so I do apologize. Can't keep my kids out of the room all the time. So as you can see on the slide, the stories on Instagram stories, which are little snippets of videos that people can watch and see, has seen an intensive growth, 15% growth and a 21% growth in viewable impressions. That's how many people are viewing them. People are just spending an abundance amount of time on social media. The good thing, what I like about social media strategies is whether you're in this situation of the pandemic or a shelter in place or after, the one thing that will not change in media consumption is social media, right? So if you think about yourself, or if you have young children or friends, or you see people out in the community, the one thing that's never going to change is the social media consumption. Whether they're sheltered at home and they're consuming more media outwardly, which they're seeking more media, or once this starts lifting and people are going out and doing more things, they're going to be posting more of themselves. So they're going to be interacting with social media. They're just going to be doing it more from them proposing out versus going out and seeking social media. So the engagement will stay with that. And that's really telling because broadcast TV and streaming services and all that are taking a huge increase right now. But realize that as the weather starts getting warmer and some of these policies start laxing a little bit, there's going to be a mass exodus to get out and get around people. That social media aspect is still going to be there. So whatever you implement now is a great strategy that will carry you through, even as these phases are unraveling, to try to get to that green stage where the states are more open on a regular basis. The next slide, Savan, if you don't mind, just gives you a little highlight about Facebook. So Facebook is probably the #1 platform, especially if you're trying to reach individuals in 25-34 and 35-64. This is the primary form of social media that they're using. And as you can see, that elusive, millennials or Gen X, starting in the Gen X, the adults between 25-34, Facebook has seen their largest increase in years since February. And women dominate Facebook. And we all know, not to be stereotypical, sorry, Scott, but women are making a lot of the financial decisions in the home as well. So it's always important to have a strong message to that demographic as well. And so one of the engaging things that you can do on social media is project out what you can do. So in generalities, it's becoming a resource to your community and to your potential consumers, right? So if we look here, we see that some people are project managers. Some people have an online business selling product. That's perfect. But let's take Erica as another example, because I see her selling a product, the home. What are the ways that you can use your product at home? Is there more than one way that you can use it? Can you make little videos that showcase your product in clever ways that will integrate it to the home? Showing you as a resource will drive more sales of your product. But what if you're more of in a service industry? What if you're a lawyer or a financial planner or a counselor? Doing small videos of yourself as a resource will showcase what you can do and your expertise in your field, and also draw people into you to utilize your services later on. So they're going to come to you because you're a resource to them now. And although they might not spend money with you in that moment, they're going to come to you first because you were that trusted resource that they saw. So you're a financial planner, maybe you're doing small 30 to 60-second videos on what you should do right now with the volatile market that you're doing. Do you have retirement plans that have been shifted? Were you putting away for your kids' schools? Are you facing unemployment? Are you worried about some of these stimulus packages that are out and you don't know how to navigate it? Can you put little videos out that showcase you as a resource and then draw people back to your website so they get more information on how you might be able to help them navigate through this? Are you a lawyer? People are still seeking legal advice during all this. Employment law, maybe they are out of work. Maybe they're worried that their landlord, even though the government says you can't, maybe they're worried about their landlord trying to evict them. Are there ways that you can make videos to give people some generalized roadmaps that they can look for and then utilize later on and then come to you as a resource? Let's take another shift and say you're not in a professional business, you're more in a home service business or a service industry business. Are you a roofer? Are you a painter? Are you a pest control? One of my largest clients is a pest control company, and we have been working on little videos. People are in their homes more. They're probably not getting any more pests or bugs than normal, but they're home more to notice them more, right? So what if you've discovered now all of a sudden you have a problem that you never noticed before? So we're doing small videos. If you think you have a problem with mice, something else, these are some of the things that you can look for in your house. And you're making little videos that then people can utilize. And if they have extended problems, they're gonna come to you first. So I don't wanna ramble on because I get excited about marketing and I feel like I can talk about this forever, but these are some creative ideas. There was one other one that I wanted to highlight. If you're in a more recreational or entertainment type of a business. So I don't recommend, if anybody on this call is axe throwing, so I don't recommend anybody selling an axe throwing kit that you can do at home. I'm gonna lay that out right now. But if you have a lot of franchisees that have a franchise in like a little gym or an art studio or a crafting or kind of like a board and brush, these are ways that you can translate what you were selling in your store, you can sell to the home. So you can sell videos that set up, hey, you have small kids in your home and they're driving you crazy. Make videos once a week. Set up a virtual obstacle course and teach people how they can set it up in their own homes using things around their house to engage with their children. Sell kits online or DIY projects that they can buy from you and do curbside pickup or offer delivery. So they're engaging with you and you're driving a revenue stream for your business in a different, fun and functional way for people that can utilize you now. Savan, I know you're going to jump in on some of the characteristics of once you do these strategies, the best way to do them. But Scott, did you have anything to add in this?
No, I think that was awesome. I think that the key thing that I think that Kelly brought up is, number one, posting videos definitely boosts not only your SEO, but it also your number of subscribers will go up because people like to see videos. I've seen it myself, right? With the posts that we do for my own company, right? When you post just a stagnant image you get much lower response than if you put a video out there. So even if you put a video, going back to the pest control guy, right? Even if you put a video of someone trying to catch a mouse in their basement, right? And trying to put the traps down and all that stuff, that will actually get views, right? And for the most part, people, once they subscribe or like or follow you or whatever that individual social media, designates itself for followers, the likelihood of them unsubscribing to you is going to go down, right? Because
That's
they're not going to
exactly
really,
right.
they're not really going to go on and say, you know what, this is over. I don't want to see that anymore. You're not going to get that, right? Now, you might not appear in their feed as often until you put more money into it, but then you've already got them. You've already got them connected to you. So make the videos or whatever it is you're going to do fun, entertaining. I mean, think about the millions of people that watch people on YouTube. I can tell you that my kids actually, my daughter watches these YouTube videos, and people make millions of dollars just showing their family. So if your business can be something that is creative, that is going to make people want to see you, it is going to help you in the long run. They might not buy from you today because that pest control guy might not be able to walk into your house. But I can guarantee you, if you still have the problem, in 60 days, you're probably going to call him than some random person that you find online. So
That's exactly right. And one last point to this, whatever your business is, what I recommend is sit down and think about whatever product or services that you're offering to the public or your consumers. Why do they come to you? What is the value that you bring? Why are you in the business that you're in? And then utilize that in a constructive way. Are you somebody that can create an online ebook that people can download to go to your website and download, create value? There's always ways that you can take whatever your business or product is and translate it into a usable and engaging way for consumers now. If you're not a lawyer and you're not giving little financial tips or downloading an ebook on how to navigate the legal system during COVID-19, there are other ways that you can create a value proposition for people to engage. If you don't have things people can buy, there are resources that you can post on your website and draw people there to close that line and close that gap and continue communication. If you are somebody who's a little bit more creative or has a product or service that you can sell, showcase that in the videos. Or if you're a resource, like one of the therapy sessions that one of the therapy centers that my son uses, they're showing videos or ideas that we can do at home that will help with occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy. They're posting things that are easy for people to consume at home and do with their children or their spouses or their significant others or sisters or brothers to fill this stay-at-home order and fill this time. Those are the businesses that people will remember when they need to invest in that product or service. They're going to come to you first. So my recommendation is to sit down and make a list of what is your benefit or why you're in there, what makes you valuable to your consumers. And then that is how you formulate what you want to do for your video or your engagement.
Those are all great information. I'm going to add one more thing to that, and then we're going to go to Savon about the videos. Think about a professional like a therapist, right? Or someone that might do yoga, right? I was just thinking about this. The therapist could be doing just little ways to cope with what's going on right now. It could be ways to cope with being in the house with your family all day long. It could be ways to cope with the fact that your job is closed. Whatever it is, those little clips that you're going to post out there can really engage people. So now let's go to the next slide. Kelly, that was awesome. Then the next section is going to be from Savon.
Yeah, I just want to add to the last thing you said, which is about, the little tips that a therapist might be putting together. And the cool thing about it is that those tips, you could provide those in so many different ways. Like Kelly was saying before, can you put together a miniature ebook of like, here are ways that you can cope right now? Or can you turn that into social media posts once a day? Here's the tip of the day. Or can you make a video about it? Like, you can use all of these different avenues even podcasting to get your message across. It's just which avenue do you want to use, and will that target the market that you want? So yeah, before I jump into what makes a good video, because we're talking a lot about video consumption, I want to just briefly go over like branding, because I know somebody in the chat mentioned branding, and I think it's probably the most important part before you even get to making a video.
So before you say that, I just wanted to let everybody know we are right at about an hour from where we started. We have about 15 more minutes. We hope that everybody stays on. And we appreciate you participating and putting in your questions, and please keep putting questions in. And we want to, keep this engaged, but I want to let you know that we're right at about an hour. If you do have
again, it's going to be recorded if you don't want to hang on or if you need to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we're going to send out a survey, just to let you know, we're going to send out a survey at the end. You'll get it in your email. We also have a gift for you. So if you could, you can private message me or the other EYB name in here. We just want to know the address to send your gift to, which we think you're going to like, and it's going to be helpful. So let's go on to the next slide, which is going to be what makes a good video. This is Siobhan's area of expertise.
Yeah, so typically I'd be out there shooting videos right now, but because we're all stuck at home and we're all trying to figure out how to market our businesses, we all have to essentially make these videos from home now. And I know that a lot of people have never even done that before. So what are some basics of making a good video? And I also do want to mention the branding piece that I was mentioning before. But I think everybody can kind of agree there are some basic things when it comes to video. Good lighting, using daylight if possible. So that means setting up your camera in front of a window, or even getting outside if there's not too much wind or outside noise going on. Setting up your camera in a spot that allows you to have a good space for volume, meaning it's not too loud. You have the right lighting on you. You're not too far away or too close to the camera. And also stabilization is so important. So I bought myself like a $50 little tripod that holds my phone up. And they sell them at Best Buy. You can get them at most electronic stores or online. But just getting something that allows you to sit your phone up and have it stable the whole time. Selfie stick can work, but again, you're using your hand movements, and that might not be the most conducive for a stable video. Again, having a minimal background objects behind you, like this would not be a good setting for one of my videos because I have all kinds of stuff back in this corner here. But if I can find a flat wall, just a plain wall with a door, or a nice background where everything looks like it's cleaned up, decluttered. Maybe I clean up the desk and the shelf before I make my video. But yeah, finding a good spot to record your videos, and also staying consistent with it. So if you pick a spot and it's good and it looks great, stay consistent with it, because consistency with all branding is honestly like one of the key things. People know you, they've seen you before, they're like, oh yeah, this is the girl sitting on the purple couch. I recognize her. Let me click on her again because I've seen one of her videos before. So creating some form of consistency in your videos so that people know to return back to you is also great. And then in terms of branding or the messaging you're using in these videos, one thing to keep in mind is that with any business, there are three main brand values. Or benefits, excuse me. So you have functional benefits, emotional benefits, and self-expressive benefits. So for example, if I sell phones, okay, the functional benefit of a phone is that you can read your email, your text messages. They're the features of a product. But the features of your product or service are never what differentiates you from anybody else. So that's on the very bottom of the list of things that you want to put out there to your customers. In the middle, the second most important thing, emotional benefits. And this is one of the most important things to remember when making videos is how can you appeal to somebody's emotions? How can you give them a positive feeling when they purchase your particular product or service? Emotions are what add depth and richness into owning or using a product or service from a brand. So how does your product or service make somebody feel, or how should it make somebody feel when they use it? And then lastly, self-expressive benefits. This is one of the most important things that a brand should think about, which is this is the opportunity for somebody to communicate their self-image. And it's one of the hardest things to do. So for example, if you think about Jeep, Jeep is a brand for people who like outdoors and they may be rugged and they like to travel. Like those are things that when somebody buys a Jeep, they're like, that feels like me because I fit that brand personality. So it's about what type of personality do the people have who are consuming content or buying products from you. So again, yeah.
Those are amazing ideas, and a lot of those things, like if you look at that image, you know, there's a fancy camera on there, you know, but the big thing is that you can start with just taking it from your phone, just setting these things up on your phone, setting it up on your webcam, and that's, you know, that's where Siobhan comes in with her expertise, right? So walking before you running. Don't worry about, you know, if everything is exactly, you know, professional when you're doing your first one, right? Think about the newscasters right now that are broadcasting every night the national news or segments of the news in their basement, in their kitchen, right? Yeah, they're dressed the way they, you know, they've been all day. It's still professional, but they're in their basement, right? So the goal is to get the message out there and to let people know what you do and that you're all in this together. You know, you get that, you make lightheartedness of it, and it kind of brings people's anxiety about it down. But again, you know, you don't need fancy cameras. You just can use it with your phone. And then as you want more sophistication, that's where Siobhan comes in, or the same thing with your social media posts, right? You can start doing it on your own, and then as you're ready to really take off with it, that's where Kelly can come in and help you give ideas on how to do that even better. So that's great. Those are awesome ideas. Thank you so much. And again, make sure you put questions in the chat if you've got them.
And two quick things also is a lot of people don't know that they can change their video recording settings in their camera. And I can type that in the chat of like the recommended settings. Actually, I'll do that right now. And yeah, there's a couple apps also that I'll recommend and I'll put in the chat for if you're taking video on your own or editing on your own. There are ways to do that. However, like Scott mentioned, if you're like, I just want to shoot it and I don't know how to put it together, you can definitely use someone like me as a resource to at least do the second step for you, which is editing.
Awesome.
So.
All right. I don't know where this is the start of, there's, if you refresh that, it's fine. I added something to it, but that's all right. Can you refresh that slide?
I don't know if I can.
Go back one more. Okay, no worries. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about some out-of-the-box ideas that you can use and that have been done by different businesses and a variety of businesses. And again, you know, we don't know, you know, right now we didn't exactly know who was going to be joining. So they may apply to you, or you might use them in a different way, right? So the first one is a family, obviously. This is a family of 4. The girl in the middle picture is a senior in high school. And she is not going to be able to go to prom. So her mother found a photographer to come and take prom pictures of her and her family at their house, right? Professionally done. Obviously, she doesn't get to go to the dance, after parties, all that stuff, but she is still getting to wear the dress that she got to pick out. Her sister's got a chance to pick out dresses as well. Her brother, who, you know, who's older, you know, got to dress up. Her dad rented a tux. I mean, like, I think this was a great way for not only that photographer to introduce themselves to this family, but also to provide memories of something that is probably never going to happen again in turning a negative into a positive. I just loved this idea when they told me about it. This is actually one of my neighbors. And when she told me about it, I said, oh my gosh, this is a great idea for a photographer who might not been able to do any type of other business, right? So that's just one out of the box idea that if you're in that industry, you might be able to use. And there are several more. So we're gonna go to the next slide, if you don't mind. So the next slide is something that I was actually speaking with my sister about yesterday. This is, so I was speaking to my sister and I said to her, what do you miss most about, you know, since you've been stuck in the house for the last 7 weeks? And she said, I miss going shopping. I miss going to TJ Maxx. And I said, well, what do you miss about it? Do you miss actually going out and spending money, or do you miss browsing and trying to find that needle in the haystack item that no one else is going to have? And she said, yeah, that's it. That's what I miss. So this image that you see in front of you now is actually one of my clients. So she owns a small boutique retail store outside of Philadelphia. I don't know if we're able to click on that, Sivan. I don't think you're going to be able to. Oh, maybe you can. Awesome. I'm going to play a few seconds of this to kind of give you an idea, because it's like 30 minutes.
Can you see this?
Yep. But before you do that, before you hit play and we hear the volume, this was my thought. And she did this without, well, I kind of mentioned it to her before, but she's got exactly what my sister was looking to do, is to go around and to find products that she can, that are needle in the haystack. And that's exactly what this woman has, right? So what she does is she's going around to her store and talking about different items. And then if you want to buy it, you can put it inside the chat, pay with the credit card, and she'll ship it to you. Or she'll do curbside pickup right at the store, right? She's not allowed to be open, but she's still selling. And I think it's a brilliant idea. And I think that if you offer this, if you are a retail business, again, there's so many different ways that you can use this video. She even jokes about it. Can you play the first few seconds of it, Sivan? I don't know if we're going to be able to hear it or not. Are you able to unmute her?
Can you hear it?
No, but that's all right. We'll add it on there. But the first thing that she says is, I'm still new to this. This is not going to be perfect. And I think that no matter what your business is, to put it out there that you are still open, you are still there, you are here for your customers and future customers. They want to see you, even if they've never been in your business before. She might get orders from all over the country when normally people would never know who she is, right? Because she can boost it. She can boost that Facebook post and spend $10 and reach thousands of people that she might not have ever done before. And she might not have ever thought of it before, because she's like, well, I only want to deal with the people that are in my neighborhood or close by. So just thought this was an awesome idea. She did exactly what my sister was looking for, and it just worked out perfectly that the timing was there. Let's go to the next one, if you don't mind. Okay, more out of the box ideas. Kelly mentioned and referenced some of these. I'm going to kind of show you what these 5 ideas are. We're going to start with the pottery. Okay, so pottery places. If you have kids, you're probably constantly trying to figure out, beside their online schoolwork that might take you know, an hour or 2 to do, what are they going to do the rest of the day, right? Paint by design, candle making. There's a business that I just started working with. It's a fragrance lab, right? So as we were talking, I was thinking about different kits that people can actually sell that they weren't doing before, right? You could go on and you could create a kit that would look similar to a box like this. Can you guys see my box? Can you see this? Siobhan, can you see it or no? Okay, cool. So one of the things that my business does is we can create custom packaging for you, right? Not to sell you on it, but if you wanted to, you could do that, right? So this as an example, let's say that you wanted to provide the paintbrushes, someone could go on and find the pottery that they already have in the store and the different color paints, just like you would there. They could order it, you can decide how much you want to charge for it and ship it out to them, right? The next one is a salon, right? A friend of my wife basically said that since she wasn't able to go down to where she normally gets her hair colored, what they did was they put together a kit specifically for her, not out of the box, but mixed her hair color, put the step-by-step directions in, and she was able to color her hair at home, right? So again, it could be a spa, someone that doesn't normally sell online, but they're putting together kits based on what it is that you are looking for, right? I'm going to skip from the gymnastics one to the margarita one. So if you look at that jug of margaritas, depending on your state, right, you might be able, if you're a restaurant, if you're a bar, let's just say you're a bar and you can't be open right now. It's like the last thing that people are thinking, I mean, not that they're thinking about, but it's probably one of the last businesses that are going to be able to open and be social. But if you've got signature cocktails, right, you might be able to sell that either with the liquor or without the liquor, just the mix. People could drive home, they could drive there, they could pick up the mix, they could pick up the bottle as long as it's in a sealed container and take it home and still enjoy your drinks. Now, you could put the recipe on there for people to do, and they might be able to create it on their own. But I thought this was a great idea. Maybe that you're a bar that makes their own pretzels. So now you do pretzels in your drinks, right? Maybe they sell growlers that goes along with it, so they can put it cold. So just different ideas. We'll go back to the gymnastics one last. The last one, or the next one I wanted to talk about were the custom delivery kits, right? So this is a great idea for not only restaurants, right, but also places that might do prepared food. So instead of just doing dinner for that evening, what if they did freezer meals, right? So they create a whole menu just for freezer and take and bake meals. So the business, the restaurant, oh my God, my brain just stopped. The grocery store, wherever it is, locally owned grocery store, could have these delivery kits, and in the delivery kit would be ice packs. It could have an antimicrobial pen, so that way they can sign for it if they need to. And the business could also have T-shirts that goes along with it that identifies that they are from that restaurant, right? So those were the delivery kits. And then the last thing was, Kelly mentioned it a little bit. She hinted to it earlier about places like the Little Gym or other places that might be for kids or adults, right? So maybe what they do is they put together a kit that could be a stay-at-home obstacle course, and it would have in there different pieces that they could create that your kids could do at home. Or it could be take an online gymnastics class. So those same instructors that were at those classes before could be doing it at home. Maybe the first couple of them, you do them at no charge to kind of get people excited about it. And then you start putting in a subscription fee, right? Maybe it's $5, maybe it's $10, whatever it is, however you want to structure it. But again, these are just different ways for places that right now that cannot be open to still get their name out there and generate revenue. And that's the main goal of this, is to figure out how you can still generate revenue when everyone is stuck at home and is quarantined.
Scott,
Yes.
one thing I'll add before we move to the last slide, and I promise we are wrapping up. But one thing with these kits and these delivery things is another way that you can think about it is driving revenue for your business, but you can also be doing something revenue where you're doing a revenue share. So for example, if you're doing, let's just stick with the tips for practicing gymnastics at home. If you're doing a service where you're starting up an online subscription service where you're putting out techniques on how to accomplish certain tricks at home, and it's a step-by-step, downloadable worksheet or a video or something else, and you're offering a subscription, maybe for now you're offering for $5 and $3 of that will go towards a local food bank or will go to helping somebody or a charity event that's been affected by COVID. So there's also elements in here to give back to the community, which is ups your level of credibility within the community is if you're also doing that. So we all know everybody's struggling. We're all looking for ways to drive revenue for our own businesses. We're all business owners on this call. We're all private business owners. So we understand the need to drive more revenue for ourselves, but also lining in something that kind of gives back will also set you far above what a lot of your competitors might be doing. So that's just another thought on top of this.
I will tell you, we have about 3 more slides. So stay with us, and I think you're going to like the last 3. So if we go to the next one, top product categories. I found this article the other day, and it just blew my mind because the first thing I think that most people think of right now is, you know what, I'll just order it from Amazon. I'll get it tomorrow. And this was a message that I read that Amazon officially, I'm just going to read it so that it's actually a quote. Officially, the world's largest retailer, Amazon, has announced it can no longer keep up with consumer demand. It, as a result, will be delaying delivery on non-essential items, or in some cases, it will not be taking orders at all for non-essential items. Meanwhile, the question remains, will this dramatically change the customer's behavior to stabilize once we flatten the curve? So how is this good for you and your business? And what things can you put in place right now that would help you to take business away from Amazon? Again, I go back to my friend that owns the party goods store, right? If you think about it, you don't want to go to the grocery store. You can't go to Sam's Club or BJ's or Costco or wherever it is to get toilet paper. She is offering a service and a product that you can't get anywhere else, right? So if Amazon can't do it, this is a chance for locally owned businesses and regional businesses to step up and say, hey, we can do that. We can deliver it to you. Even if you're a small business owner and you've got 1 or 2 people that work for you, you're not open, right? You can deliver to them, right? So looking at the top product categories in the US right now, food, obviously, health and wellness, pet supplies, apparel and accessories, beauty products, media and entertainment, and kids and babies, right? So if you have products or you have a product or a service or something that can still go in those categories, figure out a way to get it in front of people. Because like I just said, Amazon might not be able to do it if it's not essential. So we'll go to the next one.
So here's some resources that if you are creating content on your own and you want to put it out there, these are some websites and apps that you could potentially use. So the first 2 are if you are trying to design on your own. Canva is awesome for design. I think a lot of people know about it. Some people don't. Poster My Wall, I'm not too familiar with that one myself, but I know that with Canva, you have so many different templates for social media images, even presentations, flyers, PDFs, you name it. So like if you're creating a free ebook, you could create that on Canva. And yeah, so Canva is a great one. If you want a little bit more help with design, I've done graphic design before. You could hire a freelancer like myself, or you could go on to Upwork or Fiverr to find a freelancer in your area for a rate that is affordable for you. Hootsuite and Buffer are great for social media. Scheduling posts, if you want to schedule them ahead of time, those are great resources for you. Constant Contact and MailChimp, if you are starting some sort of subscription service and you're collecting email addresses from people and you want to keep them up to date, those are great resources for email campaigns. For those who are thinking about or have started a podcast or want to get into it, obviously you can't be in person right now for interviews or things like that, but Zencaster is a great website and resource to use for recording high quality audio and getting those tracks. And then finally, for video, ProMovie and ProCamera are great apps. I put them in the chat already, but they let you do a lot of things that your typical camera on your phone can't do. So it'll allow you to adjust the focus, exposure, change the settings. It'll just give you a little bit more of a higher quality result from those apps. And then finally, Asana and Trello are apps that I personally used before. If you have a lot of things that you have on your plate and you need to organize them all, they organize them into literal checklists or columns and things that you can drag over, move around. I just thought those were fun to throw in there for people who are trying to manage their life from home and need like an easy way to do it.
Awesome. And again, you don't have to write all these things down. We're going to email it out to everybody. And we also wanted to put in the next slide is our contact information. So that way, you know who's been talking today, and hopefully you can share this. We really would love, if you found the information valuable, please share it. We would love that. We are going to do more of these as we continue to go. Probably the next one we're looking at is going to be about 2 weeks away. We'll send out an invitation again. We're always looking, if there's topics that you would like us to do more of, please put that in the chat. Because we're here to help. We're here to help you and people that are in your situation. Questions. Do we have questions that came in through the chat? Aha, Erica, raising her hand. Oh my gosh, she wants to talk. Does she want to talk?
Yes.
Awesome. Please talk. Okay, hold on one second. Let's see. Hang on. Oh, just saying thank you. Gotcha. Do we have other questions?
Tammy is raising her hand.
Hi. Yes. So
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, you guys. By the way, this was absolutely phenomenal, and I put a comment in the very beginning, and it was like you couldn't even read it. I was like editing, and it didn't make sense. So what I just want to say very briefly is that I'm a full-time project manager, but I'm really interested in starting an online business. That being said, I've been doing some research, and I'm hearing that Instagram is not a great way to market yourself because of changes or things that they do, such as their algorithm, or that it's growing so fast and there's so many people on it that your content or your stories might not be seen. And they're also saying that their stories, the stories are I don't remember exactly what I read, but they were saying stories can get in the way of you marketing yourself. What are your thoughts on this?
Scott, I can speak a little bit to this.
Yeah.
Tammy, thank you so much for asking the question. Social media can be daunting, and one of the biggest frustrations in social media is that they do change the rules quite frequently. So I'm a very transparent person, and I work in the space. I have worked in the space for several years with all different size of businesses, and they will change their rules and their parameters about how you can market your business and how you can lay things out. They seem to change them kind of at will, and they don't give a lot of notice. So I will say it can be a frustrating process. Now, on the other side of that, it is still one of the most effective ways to primarily target a very niche group of business. So Tammy, I'm not sure what type of business that you're looking to do on the side, but if you're specifically trying to target a specific demographic, so you want to target women between the ages of 35 and 54 that live in a specific area that because of where you're your business is primarily based out of, or where you'll deliver or whatever, that are interested in beauty or at home kits or DIY or whatever else, social media is still the best strategy for small businesses to use to get their message across in both a visual and a credible way. Now, I'm not going to say it's not a frustrating process once you get going. And once you get to the level where you can afford or expand your wings a little bit and need some coaching, that's where people like me come in. We kind of take that off your plate and we navigate the network for you. So when you have somebody that can do that for you, it takes a lot of the pressure off. And we're in the business of keeping up with all the algorithms and keeping up with all the parameters between Facebook and Instagram. It's our job to monitor those rules and make sure that we're optimizing your campaign properly. But there are ways and tricks that you can look up online that will help you navigate this through if you're starting on your own. It might take a little bit more research, and know that when you start right away, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. But in my opinion, I always approach everything, if I owned a business and I was investing in a business, an online business, I would definitely have Instagram and Facebook included in my strategy. Because it's still a very effective way to reach a mass audience in a very creative and in a way that will really showcase what you're trying to do.
Okay. And then one other question. So I haven't really started yet. I'm kind of brainstorming, and sometimes I'm not sure if I'm going in the right direction. Is that something that any of you are available for consulting, where I can, tell you what I'm thinking and just, get some coaching initially and then run with it. And then hopefully if it becomes something bigger, then I would consult, work with you in a greater scope.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Tammy,
what we're all here for.
Yep. We want to include that resource slide because that's what we're here for. We are a resource. So feel free to email or call myself. I know Savan and Scott said the same thing. We're here to help. We're here to guide. We're here to offer our expertise and recommendations the best we can. We're not in here to force you into paying for something. We want to be here as a resource and, a coach. So absolutely.
I will also mention,
awesome.
like on my, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Yeah, on my Instagram, my personal Instagram that's listed there, I also have a link on my bio that will allow you to schedule like a free hour consultation. So it could be anything related to branding or video or anything you want to talk about. I already I have a link to my calendar if you wanted to schedule something.
And I'll add on to that on the EYB website. There's actually a section that says creative. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it says. It's like creative media designs and things like that. So it's like it lists almost all the stuff that we talked about today. And if Kelly or Savan and I don't have that expertise, like we all have resources and connections to other people. So actually, if you go to that, EYBconsultants.com.
I'll get it.
You'll be able to see that on there. There's a whole list of different types of media. So that's great. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Were there other questions that people had that we put in the chat?
No, I think we got them all. I've been kind of monitoring. So
cool. So I want to thank everybody. Was everybody able to see all three of our faces the whole time? Because I wasn't sure of that. If you can't, that would be. I hope you did. I want to thank everybody for coming on today and for listening and being a part of it. I really want to thank Kelly and Savan for their insights and their tips. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. You can also send an email to social media at EYBconsultants.com for any. There we go. There it is. Creative solutions. That's what it looks like. There's all kinds of different stuff on there, and we definitely can help you. So again, I will tell you that the gift is something that you would use. It is a stress ball, and it looks like this. It will definitely reduce your stress. It's a globe and says EYB Consultants Marketing Lab. Next time, I will tell you this, next time we're going to be doing some drawings for some really fun prizes. So we didn't have time to launch it this time, but we are going to do it next time. They're going to be really fun prizes that you guys can win. So tell your friends, share the link, and remember you're going to get a survey, and we love to hear your feedback. Thank you again so much for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you
you.
all.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.